Let me bring this with a vivid illustration. I knew of a family. They were beautiful. Okay? Beautiful husband and wife. Absolutely gorgeous couple. And as time went by, they got a gorgeous house. And then time proceeded to bring them 4 gorgeous children. Along with that, gorgeous landscaping, gorgeous cars. And very few people knew that somewhere around the second child, all the love fell away from that beautiful couple. All the love fell out of the relationship. And so things started to pass away. The worthlessness of everything around this beautiful family began to fall apart. Because the thing that mattered most, the thing that would last the longest, passed away. You see, when the love didn't last, nothing else mattered. The imperfect disappeared, and there was nothing left because the perfect, the love, had been lost years before. It's the same with our relationship with Jesus inside the church. We can come to church, we can go to Sunday school, we can sing songs, we can even tithe. But if we aren't doing it with a spirit of love, it is utterly meaningless. Do we have a love for God and for each other? If we don't, it is all for naught. Let's dig into the next 2 verses, verses 11 and 12. Marvelously illustrative verses. When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put childish ways behind me. Now we see but a poor reflection, as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part. Then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. Fill in blank number 2. We're talking about the man in the mirror. We're talking about the man in the mirror. 2 illustrations, 2 verses, and as I dwelled on these 2 verses, I realized that there could be 2 entire sermons just in those 2 verses. They are so packed with meaning and beauty that there could be 2 verses. So I'm just going to give you the sweetened condensed version instead of attempting to give you 3 sermons on one Sunday. Is that okay? Okay. First, the man-child contrast. In fact, let's make that contrast even more intense. Let's call it the man-baby contrast. When you were a baby, can I ask you a question? When you were a baby, how did you talk? Can I have some impersonations? How did you talk as a baby? Mama, Baba. You had very limited vocabulary. When you were a baby, how did you sleep? Or how did you think? Hungry, wet, sleepy, in a cycle, pretty much. Because we had limited understanding. When you were a child, how did you reason? When you were a baby, how did you reason? I remember this so vividly. When I have dealt with babies. Bottle empty. No more milk on earth. Going to die. Scream head off. Daddy left room. Daddy has fallen off planet. Daddy will never be back. I must scream my head off. You see, we had limited logic. What Paul is saying, we need to grow up and love like mature people. We need to employ adult talk, adult thought, and adult reason to how we love. I just want to give one little tiny example. When I think, God is not giving me what I want right now, God must not love me. Okay? God is not allowing me to do what I want right now. God must not love me. You can transfer that not only from your relationship with God, but your relationship with people. Do we have a mature approach to how we love and give love? I need to move on. The mirror and the mirror image. The city of Corinth was famous for its mirror manufacturing. But the interesting part is, the Corinthian mirror was made of metal. It was highly polished. And it gave you a very dim reflection. Now, the people of Corinth were very proud of their mirrors. Of course, glass mirrors didn't come around until about the 13th century. But when Paul talks about a mirror, he's talking about something that looks a little bit more like this than what we have. A mirror that shows very dimly a reflection. You can still see that there's something in there, but we're not quite sure what it is. That's the kind of mirror that the Corinthians knew of. That's the kind of mirror that Paul talks about. We only see clearly when we see people through the eyes of love. Now here again, that is a whole sermon. If you want it, next time I give my sermon evaluation, say, preach the other 2 Corinthians sermons, and we'll do it then. But I want to bring it back around because both of these illustrative verses have the when and then elements to them. Do you see that in those 2 verses? They talk about the when and the there. And this is so fascinating to me. Because on one level, it calls us to a mature and clear understanding and priority of love. But on the other level, on the higher level, or on the deeper level, it also is pulling back the curtain of eternity so that we get a glimpse of heaven. In fact, let me just catch 12b for you before I roll into 13. Now we see but poor reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part. Then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. We're talking about not only now, but we're talking about then. We're talking about loving now and what that does, but we're also talking about heaven and eternity. Let's roll right into 13 because it just fits like a glove. Now these 3 remain, faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love. Fill in the blank number 3. Fill in the blanks, I should say. Faith is fundamental. Hope is huge. Love alone lasts. Faith is fundamental. Hope is huge. Love alone will last. The curtain is pulled back. The sands of time have run out. And what is left? We need to understand that these 3 things are important. Faith in Jesus is fundamental. Without Him, we cannot even enter eternity with any kind of confidence, with any kind of what comes next. Hope. Your hope in Jesus is huge. Without hope that there is a better tomorrow, you might as well not even get out of bed. As Christians, if you don't have hope that tomorrow will be better because you have faith in Jesus Christ, you probably don't have faith in Jesus Christ. I don't mean tomorrow as in Monday. I don't mean tomorrow as in next week. I mean tomorrow as in the end, it's gonna be okay. In the end, we're gonna be all right because we've got Jesus and His love lasts. And that's where we're at. Love alone lasts. Your love for Jesus is all that lasts. And that which you do in love for Jesus will last for eternity. I need to share a story to close out.